BizTech2.com. Profit from technology.
I think in India we have seen that IT procurement is kind of maturing over a period of time. We do see that still there are a lot of companies who needs to spend more, let's say, time and focus more on IT procurement practices, the governance that is needed, so that they can make robust decisions going forward. So we published a IT procurement governance framework about 18 months ago, and that focuses on, first of all, what is IT procurement governance? Why is it critical for the business? And we have different dimensions in there, from a sourcing governance, from a process governance where the shareholder expectations are there, as well as the people governance, so that you have the code of conduct in terms of how people will go through the sourcing processes. And then there is a layer of policies, processes, and reports, which guides the business and puts the framework together in terms of helping achieve those objectives which are on the top. And then there is a layer around enablers in terms of the human enablers, which could be committees, the councils, and other things which can help achieve those objectives. At the same time, there is a technology embedded governance that you can have in the system as well. And that helps achieve the assurance through the scrutiny that needs to happen. At the same time, it facilitates the decision making which is prudent for the organization. I think we do see significant gaps around there. First of all, many organizations may have IT procurement or in general procurement policies which are dated, based on, let's say, some sign-off authorities or in terms of what processes companies should follow to, procure products and services. So if the business have moved on since then and those policies do not make any sense, that's where we see a bit of a tussle between the IT procurement people, what they are trying to achieve for the business from governance perspective versus what the business units are trying to achieve, and that does not work well. So to achieve a true collaboration, so that they can achieve the goals of the organization with the agility and the flexibility which the business unit are looking for, IT procurement need to reinvent themselves. And that reinvention means that, from a governance perspective, are their policies too old? Do they have, a lower dollar limit in terms of where competitive bids are sought, or do they have, not clear responsibilities in terms of the engagement with the rest of the business? And there are a whole lot of other things associated with that. So they need to look into all of that and make the corrections which are needed to address that, so that they can engage well with the business units and help them achieve the agility that's needed. I think first of all, we are going through a phase where there is a tremendous shift happening due to the nexus of forces, the way Gartner defines the mobility, Internet of Things, the cloud. So the IT itself is reshaping itself in that space. So similarly, IT procurement need to reshape itself, and we call it the transformation that they need to go through, and that transformation need to be from a governance perspective, because how should they govern going forward, considering these changes which are happening from a process perspective. At the same time, I think one of the critical factors is the ability of IT procurement to deliver what is expected going forward. And one of the key ingredients in there is their own people. The skills, the experience, and the personal attributes which are needed in IT procurement going forward is very different from the traditional IT procurement that we used to have. And so I think that is a critical piece in there which IT procurement need to transform itself from a policy, process, skills, and other things which are associated with that, from a systems perspective, to enable the business do more prudent and more agile procurement going forward. I think first of all, the recommendations would be that have a look at the current governance that you have, and there are Gartner tools which can help you do that from a maturity perspective. We have IT score for IT sourcing and procurement, which can help organizations understand what current maturity level they have, and what are the things that they need to go focus on going forward to achieve a better level of maturity, which will give them more prudent decisions, which will give them more robust ability to make options that they have in the marketplace, and how do they bring them on board. Similarly, there are complex terms and conditions in the contracts which are emerging due to software as a service, due to cloud contracts, and a lot of other complex things which are going on. So if IT procurement can enable themselves to understand those challenges and prepare themselves properly so that they will be able to protect the organization against those terms and conditions, that is going to help the business in the longer way.
BizTech2.com. Profit from technology.